You should never let the 3% stop you from seeing this beautiful world.
"30 years ago, my wife Rachel and I made a decision. We made a decision to prioritize getting out of our house and exploring the world. That decision was one of the most impactful, not only for us in our marriage, but also for our family. And so that one simple choice is what this video is about, but also what our channel is about as well. It's about taking the time to get out of your comfort zone, get out of your rut, and going and exploring the world. Let me ask you this. What if the secret to a better life is just simply walking out your front door? That's been our experience. You don't have to have an exotic trip. You don't have to go to exotic places to be able to really change not only your life and your perspective on the world, but also improve your family's life as well. I'm Paul Acosta. This is my wife, Rachel. We've been married for over 30 years. We have 4 beautiful adult kids. And we started exploring when we first started dating. We would go around our area in San Diego, California, and from there we expanded to Los Angeles, to Mexico, to the deserts, to the, all over the place, to the mountains. And then we got married and expanded from there. And the key thing is that we were not rich. Matter of fact, we're still not rich. But whenever we had time off, we decided that we were going to go and travel. And travel could be as close as just the beach near our house. So when we got married, we decided to expand beyond just San Diego and kind of within a 50-mile radius, and did our first international travel. And when our first child was born, Christian, all of our friends and family said, well, say goodbye to travel for a little while, because it's impossible to travel with an infant. It's impossible to travel with kids. It's too hard, too expensive, whatever. And what did we do? We got this little car seat stroller thing that converted from one to the other. And we went on a 3-week tour of Europe with our 8-month-old Christian. And so we went on airplanes and trains and taxis and just explored everywhere. And it made us realize that there really is no limit to the ability to explore, even when you have kids. So then we had Michaela come, and then a couple of years later we had Cole, and then a couple of years later we had Jaden. So here we were with 4 kids, and people were like, okay, there's no way you're going to travel now because you got 4 kids, that's impossible. And we actually expanded our travel more so. We went all over the place with those 4 kids. And I've got to credit Rachel for being the one to really push us, because I was, concerned about financial aspects of being able to travel, and gosh, can we invest in that? We should be investing in other things. And we did invest in other things, but we really did make sure that one of the investments that we made was in exploring the world with our kids, so that they had that opportunity. And I'm glad I listened to my wife. I do occasionally listen to her. No, that's not true. I always do. But I appreciate the fact that she pushed me in that area, because looking back over the 20-plus years with all the 25-plus years with all the kids and travel and everything that we've done, it really had an impact, a significant impact on our lives. But before we kind of run through our story a little more, I wanted to ask you a question. This is kind of a strange question, but when is the last time you talked to a stranger? When is the last time that you actually got out of your comfort zone and went to a new area that maybe you're unfamiliar with, or you got uncomfortable in a good way? The reason I ask is because it is so easy these days to be comfortable. You've got the world at your fingertips on your phone. You've got on your TV all sorts of entertainment. You don't have to go outside. You can just explore everything sitting on your couch or in your bed. I don't know if you remember in science class, that guy, Sir Isaac Newton, he had the apple that fell on his head and called it gravity, right? He also came up with an idea called the law of motion. And the law of motion basically says that anything that is at rest stays at rest. The only way for something to come out of rest is through force, is through inertia. And that really is the intent of this channel, is for us to apply a little bit of inertia, a little bit of force to help you to get out of your comfort zone. I call it the homebody rut that you can get in. It's so easy to stay at home and just watch Netflix or whatever's on TV or watch your phone for hours at a time and never really explore. And so that's really what this channel is about, is trying to help you to break out of that and break into what we call the TripGruv, which is getting outside, getting into a more exploratory mindset and really appreciating the world that's around you, because I think it just makes a better person. It makes a better life for you and for your family. So we're going to talk more about that, but I just wanted to share with you that that's kind of our thoughts. Hey, Rachel, let's go get some coffee and then let's go for a little walk. Does that sound good? Mm-hmm. Let's do that. And we'll catch up in a second. Good?
Thank you.
What do you think travel has done for us, for our family?
I really think that travel has really built empathy for our family and for our children. They've learned to look at the world a lot differently and to get out of the bubble, the shell that they have in the safety of their community, and just to kind of see how the rest of the world lives. Whether it's watching a mom in rural Mexico take care of their child, we see that there's a lot of commonalities. We're more alike than we are different. And watching young kids laugh and cut up at the same jokes, it made us feel like there's so much that makes us the same versus making us feel like we're different. And I think the kids have a different worldview, and I think that they have a greater sense of the world and where they are, and I really think it's built them to have a much better love of travel, and they see people in a different way.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so now that we've got our coffee, we can talk a little bit more about travel. One of the things that I think we've realized over the years is that travel really teaches us what matters most, right? I remember we went on a short weekend trip up into the mountains. We rented a cabin, and it's funny because the Airbnb, it looked so much bigger in the pictures, but when we got there, it was so tiny. And for the 6 of us, it was basically like a bedroom and another room. And so we also had our dogs. We had at the time 2 little dachshunds. We still only have just one, Shakira and Latifa. And they were with us as well. So it was a jam-packed cabin that we had there. We didn't have cell service. We didn't have network or internet or any of that. And for that weekend, we were unplugged, but we were so connected. I felt like we were really learning so much about each other and about the kids. I remember we had a snowstorm come through and we ended up getting stuck overnight. Remember that? Mm-hmm. We couldn't get out. We were in the snowdrift, and we had a minivan at the time. Get this minivan out of this rut that it was in, ironically. We're talking about ruts. And he called a tow truck. So it took probably 2 hours, maybe even longer for a tow truck driver to finally show up, and he towed us back down the mountain. It was a very expensive tow. But I guess one of the things I remember from that is what we had was each other. And everything we possibly could want was with us in that minivan, including the dogs. And so sometimes it's very clarifying what's most important when you get there and travel. And sometimes when things don't go well as well, it really clarifies. One other concept of travel that I wanted to share is this concept that is called the 3% rule. Something that is not a hard and fast rule. It's something I've seen in my work. I've seen it in travel as well. And maybe it's a little controversial, but it basically says that the majority of folks that are out there in the world are good and decent people. That they're just trying to get by, they're trying to do the best for their family, they're trying to have the best life they can, which also means that there's about 3% out there that are, folks that you want to watch out for. There's folks that are bad actors. You only have to watch the news to confirm that there's some folks out there that are not doing the right things. So obviously you have to watch out for the 3%, right? You have to be safe. You have to be smart. You have to plan where you're going. You have to think about the paths that you take. You have to think about what time you go. You have to research ahead of time the locations. You need to talk to locals about, areas that you should go into and not go into, all of that. But let's face it, there's some of these 3% are folks that are in your office, right? That are bad actors. There's people that are within a mile of your house that are bad actors too. So sometimes people don't travel because of fear, because of the 3%. So you should never let the 3% stop you from seeing this beautiful world. Let me just say that again, because I think it's really important. You should never let the 3% keep you from experiencing all that you and your family can experience in this world, because you're missing out on the 97% of people that are out there that are just lovely and that have amazing stories and experiences that you're missing out on because you're stuck at home through fear. So it's important to get out there, to take risks, because the strong majority of the world is a beautiful place, and you really miss out if you don't experience that. So with that said, let's go have some breakfast because I'm getting hungry. And then we can talk a little bit more about the travels and the challenges. And Rachel, maybe you can share a little bit about your thoughts of travel as well. So, all right.
Yep.
Let's do it. Let's hit some breakfast. All right. See you soon. Actually, just one more thing before we head off to breakfast. I wanted to, You okay? Oh, what a trip. Listen, I wanted to take this opportunity to ask you to please like and subscribe. Also, there is a video that we have attached to this that gives a tour of 2 of the suites that we stayed here at the beautiful hotel in Waikiki. Take a look at that as well. And now back to the rest of our video. See you soon.
Different color.
I think there's some additional benefits to traveling, and these are life lessons that not just Paul and I have learned, but that our children have learned. You learn how to be flexible and creative. Flexible even in the most stressful moments, and you have to think on your feet. For example, if you have a flight that's been canceled, learn to look at train schedules or different other ways of transportation. Or if our hotel reservations have been lost. Kids have learned how, and they're much more savvy than I am, where they can get on the internet or they can start researching and looking up things. I remember when I was traveling with my daughter and she was going off to college, and we were in Spain, and we didn't know that there was a taxi strike. And so we were just among all of these other tourists that were trying to figure things out, and it was our daughter that figured out that we had to walk and get our way out of the city center to be able to catch the next mode of transportation. And if we did not think that quickly on our feet, I think we would have missed our flight out of Spain to get back home. So again, it's that resourcefulness, it's that creativity, it's learning how to be patient in the most difficult times, and learning how to work together and to be very communicative when it comes to, your needs and looking around you. So I think these are the benefits that I could not have taught my kids. They could not have learned that in their bubble
school.
and in school.
Yeah.
They had to get out. And because of this, I'm very grateful. They are pretty savvy in the way that they think and how they view the world.
I love that. We've talked a lot about all of the benefits of travel, but let's also talk about some of the challenges as well, because let's face it, it's not always Instagram perfect. When you're out there in the world with 4 kids, there's plenty of things that'll go wrong. There have been times where there were doors slammed in hotel rooms because people were frustrated and tired and hungry and hangry. Like, for example, there was one time we went to Pismo Beach. Remember this, Rachel? Mm-hmm. We rented a 6-seater dune buggy, which, yes, there is such a thing as a 6-seater dune buggy. So we're cruising out into the middle of the sand dunes, and all of a sudden there is a problem with no, it wasn't a problem. We went down into the bowl. You could not reverse this dune buggy for some reason. It could only go forwards. And so we had the option of either going right down into this bowl and hopefully trying to get out of it, or going left and going down this 200-foot drop. That was one of the examples that was a challenge. There was that one time in Paris where you and a couple of the kids took one taxi and we took another, and that questionable taxi driver took you for a ride literally all over Paris, and you just got really upset with him at the end of it. I felt bad for him actually at the end of that situation. I remember also when we were in Cuba, the Havana has an art museum there, and we thought that this guy was a tour guide, but he ended up scamming us out of like 2,000 Cuban pesos, which, feel free to comment how many dollars that is. But that's part of the fun, and actually that's some of the things that we laugh about now. But on the whole, it's worth it. So get out there and travel. Hey Rach, we're almost at our breakfast place, so let's keep walking.
Caramelized banana, strawberry, chocolate, Nutella, and crusted macadamia.
All right, so we just had a amazing breakfast. So let's head back to the hotel, and then we can talk a little bit more about the financial side of things. That's important to address, I think, here as well. So we'll see you at the hotel. Now we should probably address the elephant in the room, which is the financial side of traveling and exploration. So Rachel, you wanna highlight that for us?
Early on in our marriage, we had made a decision that getting out in the world was more important than us buying a new car, having an extensive upgrade in our house, or doing things that were really less focused on doing things as a family. We made the decision that we were going to focus on the family, get them outside of that bubble of where we live, and have them start seeing other parts of the world. One of the things that we started to do is we really became experts at looking at how we can find deals. We found last minute travel deals. We found where somebody was trying to get rid of a timeshare, even road trips. We decided to scale down our trips when everybody had that time off. We, again, made that decision. And as the kids got a little older, it was really cool to see how they got on the computer and they found deals. Especially our youngest.
Jaden's an expert.
Yes, our youngest would look forward to these trips. If we even said, hey, let's go to the Grand Canyon, for example, Jaden was the first person that got onto the computer and said, oh, Mom, I found this deal here, or we could rent a car
to get everybody out there, and then we can do this. The other thing we started to do was really get off the beaten path, and we didn't go to where a lot of the tourists went. We got to be very accustomed to asking where a lot of the locals would go for their meals. More recently, my husband and I were in Amsterdam, and we struck a conversation with this couple that was sitting right next to us, and it was very memorable. My only sadness is we didn't get their contact information to stay in touch with them. They were the coolest couple ever, and we learned a lot about, and I think down the road I want to travel to South Africa. They were talking about their travels through there and how awesome it was.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be something that breaks the bank. It's something that you can be creative and really save up for. But I think the most important thing is, and this is the thing you taught me, is to really think of it as an investment in your family's future. Because I look back on all of the times that I was kind of like, I don't know if we can afford to go on that road trip or go on that flight or whatever it was, especially with 6 kids, or with, not 6 kids, with 4 kids, all 6 of us. And I'm glad we put the money in on that, because the memories, the experiences, and who we are as a family is really a result of that investment that, Rachel, you kind of pulled me kicking and scratching into doing. And now I'm 100% on board. I think that it is some of the best investments we've made in our life.
We've seen our kids become much more confident travelers. I've seen them take these fabulous trips with their friends, and even persuade some of their friend groups to take trips that they never really thought that they would do. And it's been kind of cool to watch that transformation in them. But even within our own family, no matter where our adult kids are in the world, and it's so cool because our kids will move their schedules around just so that the 6 of us can be together again. And I really think that they have become much closer. Heck, we didn't even know until more recently that they were connecting with each other through Zoom. They have a weekly Zoom that we weren't invited to, that the 4 of them talk about, and they get together and they just talk about what's going on in their lives. It's not to say that they haven't had their challenges, but at the end of the day, I really think that because we made these decisions, they've learned to rely on each other. More importantly, they've learned to rely on their own skills. And money doesn't need to be the only factor.
Yeah.
They've learned to say, okay, I can save up for this, and this is the experience I want to have. They've learned how to really look at and find a different perspective when it came to travel and new experiences.
I think maybe, Rach, we should take a little walk or get out of this area and talk about some of the other aspects of travel here. So let's head out. So as Rachel said, we're definitely a closer, happier, more flexible family, I think, because of the travel that we've done. But some of you may be thinking, okay, yeah, that's great, that's nice, but I can't afford to go to Europe. I can't even barely afford the groceries for this week. And so I wanted to also mention the fact that there's an important idea around travel, which is you can travel just by getting outside of your door. For example, I remember some of the best travel that we had as a family was within 25 miles of our house. You know, I remember all the times that we went to, of course, the beach. The beach is one of our favorites, except for Cole and Christian. They're not a huge fan of the beach. But you know, going to the pier, it's maybe 10 miles away from our house, and fishing and catching a little baby shark. I remember us continuously searching for the best tacos in San Diego, going to a park
and just having a picnic, as simple as that is. What doesn't matter is how many miles you travel, how many passport stamps you get. What matters is that you get out. What matters is that you engage the world. For example, when you go to the park, maybe invite your neighbors that you never really interact with much to go to the park with you. Ask them about what's going on in their lives. When you're at the park, instead of sitting there on your phone, go play with your kids. Go and hang out with them. Talk to them. Ask them how their day's going. Ask them what's going on in their lives, because you'll be surprised at some of the answers that you'll get. I guess what I'm trying to say is that traveling and exploring is not something that has to cost a lot of money to do, and you don't have to go far to do it. It really is a state of mind. It's getting out there, it's exploring your neighborhood, exploring the folks that are around you, right?
Oh, I just remember even some of the simple things. I remember when the kids were little, we would do like these little mini scavenger hunts, and you would get the kids outside. We had a rubber ducky that you would hide in the park.
That's
and
right.
The kids would have a contest to find it. And instead of the kids sitting there watching TV or playing on an iPad or what have you, you got them out to explore, and that was a cool way to get their attention. And we had some great conversations as they were looking for that rubber ducky. I think we still have that somewhere.
Yeah, we do. We'll have to find it.
But that just kind of symbolized how important it is to get up off the couch, as we're sitting on a couch, and get them to be outside and get them to even smell the roses out there and getting them to do something outside of the house.
Yeah, I love that. And basically that's what our channel is all about. It's about breaking out of that rut, taking a little bit of force to move yourself from where you're at rest, and getting into the TripGruv, moving forward and enjoying life to its fullest. We're gonna spend some time in the next couple of videos interviewing each one of our kids so that you can hear from them directly what this philosophy has done and how it's impacted their lives. So, it's one thing for us to tell you, it's another thing to hear directly from them, from the source. Hopefully they tell everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because it wasn't all perfect. But I hope that by hearing from Christian and Michaela and Cole and Jaden, you'll experience some of what this is about that we're talking, which is that it has impacted their lives in a positive way. I know when I think about Christian up in LA, I know that it's helped him in his work, and it's also probably one of the reasons why he's willing to take the risk that others may not and move from LA to New York with, not much of a plan other than, I just want to experience a new place and new locale, which I love. We've got Michaela, who has, as we mentioned, a full-time job in travel. She's a flight attendant, and so her life is really about travel. We've got Cole, who's considering making a change and going back to school to be a social worker like his mom, and which I think is amazing. And I think a part of that is because he's seen all of the different people and cultures and really wants to connect with people and help people, which I think is amazing. And then Jaden, who I think is really, travel has impacted her in that it's really made her more flexible. It's made her connect with people better. I think she's an excellent communicator. I think she's really good at, wanting to help others as well. So I'm excited for you to hear the stories coming from the horse's mouths, as they say, from our kids directly, and hear the impact that it's made. So please click on those once those are uploaded so that you can hear some of that as well. Oh, and I forgot to mention that we're also going to have a conversation between me and Rachel, where Rachel's going to have an opportunity to kind of talk about what this whole concept of TripGruv and getting out there and exploring the world has meant for her, for us as a relationship, and also for the family from a mom's perspective. So I'm excited to hear that. Okay, so with that, we're gonna close out this video. We just wanted to remind you again that the world is out there waiting for you. So overcome that rut that you may be in with a little bit of force, a little bit of inertia, and get your TripGruv on, all right? So Rachel and I are gonna go and hit the beach. So it's a beautiful day here in Hawaii, and we just wanna wish you the very best and look forward to hearing from you and hearing your stories as well. So until next time, we'll see you soon.